Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Byron. How are we today?
Hi. Good. Really good, thank you. You?
Fantastic. Not bad at all, thank you.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Well, thank you for making time to meet up with me today. I'd like to talk to you today about your singing practice and how you got where you are, basically.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about your singing, basically. How did you start singing? What inspired you to start your singing journey? Yeah.
I used to sing when I was younger. Um, I was in a band, not of any sort of fame or anything like that. Just a simple band. Um, I started growing a bit older, obviously, so I went to college and things like that. So it sort of fell by the wayside. And when I got into adulthood, I suffered with anxiety. So I think about 18 months ago now, I was trying to figure out a way out of my anxiety and my depression. And I thought I'll give singing a go again. I probably wasn't quite as good as I was when I was younger. So I needed to put in a lot of practice as well. And so I looked for lessons. And basically, I started off, I had a couple of lessons where it didn't really work for me. And then I met you and started having regular lessons, and started trying to deal with my anxiety through singing. So I've been consistent ever since then, really. And it's been helping. So
it's so interesting that you're saying this because, well, obviously I do know about the role of singing and, you know, helping with anxiety in your case, but it's so interesting as well because, well, I have very similar experiences, to be honest, with singing. I kind of used singing to help me out of depression, and I think it's the best antidepressant you can think of, to be honest.
absolutely, yeah. I've actually, so I've got like a clinical diagnosis. I've tried lots of different medications, and I am on medication at the moment, but it's effective, but nothing's quite as effective as my singing, to be honest. My tablets sort of just ease the burden a little bit, but singing really takes my mind off it completely. So it's a really useful tool for me. So
Absolutely. Wow. No, it's very powerful because, as you know, that's exactly what I'm researching as a part of my MA project, the role of singing in
yeah,
helping people to deal with well, I'm particularly researching trauma and the importance of singing, or
right.
the potential role of singing in helping that. But yeah, obviously this is more to it. I always say that you're the role model student, basically, because of
Oh,
how, because how you're practicing, I basically would like to talk to you about your singing practice in general. So,
yeah,
because I know that how much you're practicing and how much love and effort you're putting into your singing
yeah.
work. So, would you like to tell us a little bit more about your singing routine? Is there any routine? Do you have any routine for your
Yeah,
singing practice?
kind of. I think it's good to have a routine, obviously, so that you can perfect things, but also you still got to have a little bit of freedom in your practice so that it doesn't overwhelm you or it doesn't feel too structured. So for my let's say for my routine, I have a certain set of exercises that I do each day. They're predictable. I know what's coming, and they're sort of targeted to parts of my singing or parts of my voice that I need to perhaps maintain or improve in some ways. The less structured side of it is that I do take exercises that I don't do every day, usually every other day really, but sometimes less often than that sometimes, where I pick a particular exercise that might be a little bit more challenging for me because I get used to the ones that I'm doing. And I use those to sort of hone my skills. Let's say, for example, for riffs and runs, maybe if I feel like I need some help with breathing exercises or something like that. So they're sort of targeted again, but again, they're random. They don't necessarily stay in my practice. I do have my routine though, is I always do an hour of practice every day before I sing. So even if I don't do my singing, those practices are always included in my daily routine. So
Amazing. Oh wow, you already gave us so much information. I'd like to come back to I'd like to break it down a little bit. Could you tell me a little bit more about the exercises that you're using? So what you can use like yourself as an example. So what exactly you're targeting with those exercises and
for myself personally, I've got my voice is sort of in the mix part of the male register. So that's where I feel comfortable singing. So what I try to do is I do exercise that part of my voice, but I target my lower register and my higher register because obviously I want to blend everything in together, and I don't want to sound good at the top. Good in the middle and then bad at the top and bad at the bottom. So I usually use scales to blend into the mix and then blend back out of the mix going up the other way. But also I do use pentatonic riffs and runs, pentatonic minor riffs and runs, and just riffs and runs in general. Once I've done my warm up, I'm ready then really to sort of make it more of a singing opportunity rather than just doing a basic exercise. And I feel like as well, it's good to jump into those sorts of exercises, the ones that are sort of backed by a melody and sometimes a beat as well, because I've just done the exercises. So it's sort of easing myself into singing later on. So I'm using it as an opportunity really to remember the placement that I've been using in my exercises and progressively move into music. I did used to just do those exercises and then jump straight into music without any sort of like melodic exercises after my general ones. And I did find that it took me a while to warm up then while I was singing. So those ones are sort of like a stepping stone for me personally. I know it's different for everybody, but for me personally, it's a stepping stone into me singing my songs later on. And I always find that when I do that I can kind of just sing straight away rather than trying to warm up with the songs. I think adding those sorts of things in as well stops me tiring as quickly because they're more complex. Just doing the basic scales, just going up and down, it's brilliant, but it's also, it doesn't really sort of liven you up with agility. So yeah, doing something with like a melody behind it and a beat, but still an exercise, allows me to then sing for sometimes a couple of hours without feeling tired. So
amazing, fantastic. So if you're about to kind of pin down your sort of daily routine, would you say it's like starting with those exercises, then the more kind of technical ones, then moving towards more sort of like melodic exercises,
yeah,
and then moving to your repertoire, is it?
exactly. My exercise for me personally, because I do think it's important. There are obviously exercises that people share in common, but I think it's important to tailor them to yourself as well. So out of the lots and lots of different varieties of exercises, it took me a while to discover what worked personally for me. So now I start with scales and try to work on breathing. And once I've done that, I actually do I should have mentioned this before. I do a continuity exercise, which allows me to regulate volume and sort of the energy that I put into notes. And then I move on to my riffs and runs then, which, like I said, is a more complicated exercise, but not so complicated that it's going to tire me quickly. And then, yeah, like you just said, I move into my catalog of music then, wherever I think I'm going to sing for that day, or if I'm working on a particular song, I'll start repeating that song then to perfect it. So
Amazing. And can I ask as well, so when you've, because obviously you spent, quite a fair bit of time now in your vocal training.
yeah.
When you started singing, how did your routine look like back in the day? Was it the same routine, or did you build to the routine that you're currently having?
It was completely different, to be honest. When I first started, I thought that maybe just scales on their own would help. So it was a little bit basic, and also I think that obviously there's a point that everybody's got where your voice can't manage a particular range. Everybody's voice sort of sits in a range, and you can work outside of those ranges, but we have limitations. So my exercises were sort of pushing way beyond my limitations, and I've learned now that I should just push very slightly beyond the limitation, and that's it. Just to obviously try and extend my range, but not overdo it. I did find when I was first exercising, because I was picking big scales, that it was really tiring for me. And then I would get into my singing after my exercises and really not be able to sing for long, or notice a tiredness and a fatigue in my voice because I had spent so much effort on my exercises. So now it's completely changed, because now I make sure that it's balanced. I do my exercises. I want them to warm me up, and I want them to sort of work my muscles a little bit, but not to the point where it's to the detriment of the end goal, which is obviously to sing nice. So, and I know we discussed that before when I talked about my exercises. So I did go through my exercises with you, didn't I? And I remember dropping a couple out because they were just not particularly useful for me. They were tiring, and also some of them were a bit too difficult, to the extent that they were counterproductive. So, and like I said, that's why for me, I think that it's really important to tailor your exercises rather than just sort of jumping on YouTube and picking some random videos. It's important to focus on what you need personally, and also with lessons to have feedback from somebody so that they can let you know if something's making you sound better, making you sound worse, or sort of doing nothing at all. Because I've had those exercises as well where they for want of a better word, they're pointless. So yeah, I would say my exercises now compared to before are streamlined, because I want to do them quickly. I don't want to do them in a lazy way. So they need to be targeted so I can sort of get through them, not be bored of them, and jump into what I really like doing, which is singing, obviously. So no, I don't think anybody, when you do exercises all the time, I don't think anybody particularly enjoys them in the end. So it's good to streamline them, have them really tailored to yourself. And that does take a bit of time, which is why they're completely different now to what they were before. But yeah, they work well for me now because I've spent months tailoring them to myself. So
Absolutely. How do you know, because you mentioned the limitations, knowing where the limitations are for your voice, how did you work it out? How did you know where are those limitations?
well, I think it's easy to think when you start singing that you can have the potential to sing absolutely anything. And that's an ideal world, but obviously when you look at really big artists like I guess is a good example because they're usually the types of singers that sing well are people like Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, and Whitney Houston, those sorts of really strong singers with massive range. Um, I think for me it was a pipe dream that I could sing all those really, really big tunes. I mean, I can, but I need to individualize themselves, individualize the songs to me, and sing them perhaps in a different way. So when I started singing them, again, it really came down to the fact that the songs would sometimes really fatigue me. Um, I would struggle reaching up for the big notes, and for a male, as you know, I've got quite a big range, but my limitations really were discovered in realizing that I can't necessarily sing absolutely everything that's put in front of me, but the things that I can sing well. So I wouldn't necessarily. I guess limitations is perhaps the wrong word, but just a realization that I've got a particular style, and my voice sounds better in a particular pocket of my range. So or ranges. So it's better really for me to pick music that people are going to enjoy me listening to, and for me not to look like I'm struggling with it or straining to reach the notes that are included in the song. And like I said, if a song is big but I really still want to perform it, then adjusting the song really to suit the way that I sing, rather than trying to sing it like the original and perhaps fail.
Absolutely. Oh, lovely. No, it's very interesting because that kind of takes us to this big question of how do you choose the repertoire, basically? Is it like, would you, well, the first thing is, how do you do it yourself? How do you go for the songs that you're actually working on? What's the deciding factor, if you know what I mean, of this is the song, from the technical point of view? So are you going basically for the songs that you feel are quite challenging, or you like sort of playing it safe with your choices?
No, I think we've discovered as well in our lessons that I do like to challenge myself. Sometimes I think sometimes I challenge myself and the songs perhaps turn out to be wrong for me, but I don't think because a song is challenging that you should avoid the song. I just think that if I go back to that word, it's for want of a better word, but if the song is limiting for you, and you can sound better by either adjusting it or picking a different song that you really love, then I think that's sometimes necessary. Um, I don't like to feel defeated in life. I don't. So that was a hard pill for me to swallow, that I'm not going to be able to sing absolutely everything. But I don't lose now. At the same time, my voice has improved so much, and the way that I enjoy singing has improved so much that really, if I need to leave some of the huge songs to some of the huge singers, that's fine with me. I've still got my own sort of unique style and sound, and I want to sound good for other people as well. I started working on my anxiety using singing, and sort of just like, I guess I was belting some things to the point of just sort of getting the music out of me. But now I want other people to listen as well. So my agenda has changed really. I want to sound beautiful when other people hear what I'm doing. And I want them to see that, like I said, I do still pick challenging songs. I want them to see that they're a little bit challenging for me. But I can perform them in a natural way. I don't need to force them or anything like that. So I think one of the main comments that I get a lot is, because I do sing slightly more challenging songs, is that I made the song look easy and that I didn't look uncomfortable. So I found the right area in my singing where people understand that actually this song is difficult to sing, but I didn't overdo it. And I listened back to myself with some of this stuff not that long ago, about 4 or 5 months ago, some of the stuff I was doing at the beginning. And really, I was reaching, to be honest. I don't think some of the songs I was singing, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to necessarily sing them in their original format. I was kind of, I refuse to change the key of the song and things like that, which is another tool that I think is perfect for people who will really want to perform a song. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I think it just comes down to acceptance that actually it's better to sound beautiful than to reach for the stars and perhaps not sound as great. So,
Mm. No, it's very interesting what you're saying, the kind of uniqueness, because I definitely hear it in your voice. I definitely hear that your voice has a very particular color to it and a very particular way of being, and you definitely have your own style. So it's very interesting how quickly, to be honest, you realize that, oh, this is what matters more rather than, trying to be another Whitney Houston or whatever. It's more
yeah,
about this
yeah,
kind of uniqueness because, Byron, there's only one Byron and there's only one
yeah.
Whitney
Oh, thank
Houston.
you.
And I think this uniqueness, this is very important what you're saying. And I think it's quite, yeah, it's just interesting that, that you realize that. So,
Yeah,
fantastic.
obviously it's a form of expression, and I think I'm quite particular, and I'm quite fussy about the way that I do things in life, and I feel like that comes across in my music as well. Not in a negative way though; it comes across in a positive way. Like I like people to know that I put a lot of effort into what I'm doing, and
Mm-hmm.
that I want it to sound beautiful. I care more about sounding good than just belting something out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Amazing. Um, from your experience, do you think you have any like tips for singers who are actually just starting their journey with singing, how they could practice? What sort of advice would you give to singers who are just starting their journey with singing?
I think something in terms of the technical aspect of sort of exercising or warming up, they're important for a start. Meet so many people who say they're singers, but they don't do any exercises at all. And when I hear them sing, I'm trying not to judge them negatively, but at the same time, because I put the effort in myself into the warming up, I can see the difference. And usually those singers have complaints about their own voice. And I don't mean pitching, because pitching is something that everybody can work on, I think. But I mean like breathing and fatigue and not having much stamina to sing. And also like going back to what we were just talking about, belting everything because you don't have the experience to use the right sort of form when you're singing. So I think really importantly is to work on exercises. I think in equal part to singing. Later on, you can sing a bit more than you exercise, but when you first start, I think it's good to sort of like have a good balance between the both, and also to again to tailor your exercises, because it's easy to just, like I said, a lot of people just jump on YouTube, pick some exercises and think that that's going to work for them, and some of them probably will, but there is sort of a mixed bag. When you pick exercises off YouTube, they're really standard.
Mm,
Unfortunately, that I think they're just created so that people will tap the like button and think that they're learning something. But if you feel like something's not working for you, or that it's not benefiting you in any way, it's better to chop that out and then
mm,
replace it with something that's actually going to be constructive. Um,
absolutely.
and like I said, being dedicated to your exercises and your warm ups is paramount. If you don't do those, then you're going to struggle with your singing regardless. So you're sort of defeating yourself for the end goal, which is
Mm,
obviously to sing. It's so tempting to just get up and sing because we all love to sing, but you'll have a much better end product if you focus on your exercises and your warm ups.
absolutely. I just need to add to it that sometimes I think like in my teaching, that I always start with this idea of like, okay, exercises. How are you doing with your exercises? Are you doing exercises? What are your exercises? And I think it's so crucial, especially for singers who never ever been singing in their lives, to start with understanding their own voices, to start with
Yes.
exercises, because jumping straight into the song, it's like walking in the darkness. Like, what am I doing? What's the how
Of
to
course, yeah.
navigate myself through the song without the exercises? And I think it's extremely important part of vocal training. In fact, we
Yeah.
say we call it vocal training. So training is about exercising. Not
Yeah.
just going for a
Yeah.
marathon, not trying to run the marathon without
Exactly.
being ready for it.
And I always use our analogy when I speak to people who ask me how I'm learning to sing. I always say to them that you don't go to the gym and just pick up 180 kilos of weights. You obviously work your way up to that point, and you get really good at being able to lift a lot of weight by
Mm,
just doing things slowly and learning what works for you. Again, just like being in a gym, learning which things that you'll enjoy and which things benefit you the most, which you'll get the most gains from. So, um, like you say, it's such an integral part of training yourself to sing. I've got to be honest. I used to one of my main problems, just quickly on that point, was that I used to pull my chest voice up a lot,
mm,
um, and by doing my exercises, I discovered parts of my voice that allow me to just do things really easily instead of trying to drag my chest voice up so that I can hit higher notes. Now I just sort of glide into my mixed voice and glide into my falsetto. And it's all because of my exercises. I didn't learn that from singing my songs,
mm.
or any other way. I literally discovered that by trying to make when I do my exercises, I try to make them as easy as possible for me so that I can go up and down through the ranges. And that's the form then that I take into my singing. And now I sort of uh, ironed out the creases that stop me being able to move into different registers and stuff without my voice breaking,
Mm.
again without being tired. So um, I, I I can't stress it enough to people, to be honest, how important it is. It's so boring. Some days I'm like, "Oh, I really don't want to do my exercises, but it's important." So
Absolutely. May I ask as well, what do you think is just picking on something that you mentioned before that well, and or maybe I should ask this question differently. Do you think there's an aspect of voice that we can't actually exercise through exercises, if that makes sense? Do you think there's like a limit to it? Do you think? Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think actually, without the balance of singing and exercising, you can actually train something out of your voice,
Mm-hmm.
which I think the best way to describe it maybe is compassion and empathy, sympathy, feeling. When you do exercises, it's very routine, it's standard, and you're without singing the songs and picking the songs that are right for you, you're not going to be able to express yourself properly because you don't want to sound like you're just doing something really routinely when you actually get into singing. So again, it is about balance. But I don't think you can train those things into yourself. Maybe if you go to acting school or something, I don't know. I haven't done that, um, but yeah, I think actually making a song have true meaning is more about singing the song and feeling it, understanding it, breaking it down, and sort of understanding the context of the song. So that's an important aspect that you need to focus on, obviously, after you've done your warm ups. I try to minimize my warm ups now. So, like I said, I did used to over exercise a little bit, thinking that it would make me a really good singer. But
Mm-hmm.
now I've streamlined it so that I can jump into singing as quickly as possible without skipping anything and really focus actually on feeling. And I had a problem with that. You probably remember that my songs were very basic once I come into my lesson, because I do my warm ups before the lesson. Once we got into the lesson, um, there wasn't much feeling to my song. So I've worked on that afterwards now, and it has improved considerably. So yeah, like I said, I think that feeling for I don't really know how to sort of use one word to describe it, but like I say, the things that I've mentioned, those are learned through singing the song, performing the song, and and again, feedback as well, having somebody tell you, because you can sing to yourself all day long and think that it sounds amazing, but somebody might pay you a criticism when you sing it. So yeah.
How do you know the song is right for you then? How I know it's a very vague question, but how do you, is it, are you picking a song just, do you make your decision just by how it feels, like the lyric wise, or what's the sort of, how do you pick, how do you feel it's the right song?
I think everybody's got a huge catalogue of songs that you can pick from. So I think it's trial and error, to be honest. Usually usually if I think, oh, I want to sing this song, first I find a backing track for the song. Then I test different backing tracks as well to check which ones sound best with my voice, because you don't necessarily always sound great with a backing track, whether it be piano, guitar, or a full instrument or whatever. So I try and find the perfect fit for me really in that aspect. And then when I sing it then, I don't want, I try not to overfeel it, if that makes sense. So I want to feel the song and I want to feel like I can perform it to other people, but I don't want to just perform that song because I really love it. It's gotta, again, I keep going back to that word, but I think I'm all about balance, to be honest. I think that it's gotta be a balance between being able to perform it in a really technical way, so that it sounds quality, but also still having that emotion there and being able to perform that emotion well, not overdoing it at the same time. So if I can find that balance in a song, I feel kind of confident really that other people will probably enjoy it, because I'm managing it on a technical level, I'm managing it well, and also I'm still able to tell a story while I sing it. And even then, I think it is important as well to take feedback on the chin, because sometimes even then I get it wrong. I like to think that I'm good at picking songs, but I have picked songs that are wrong for me plenty of times. And I try not to take it as a knockback. It's just like, if it doesn't sound great to the end user, then that's fine with me. Not all songs work for everybody. We can really love some songs and really think that this is the song for me, I'm going to perform it to the world and everybody's going to love me. But it doesn't always work like that. So, and that's fine. So I think it's like any other job really when you sing, is that you just want the end product to be really good for the end user. So it's okay if the song doesn't necessarily feel good to everybody else. So
Absolutely. And do you have like any plans or challenges that you're or goals in your practice that you're putting in front of yourself at the moment?
I'm working on my falsetto a little bit still, and I know we've covered that recently. I am told that it sounds okay, but I think that you need to feel comfortable with your voice as well. And I do feel that there are some sort of weak points in my falsetto. So I am working on that, and I am still working on my confidence as well. Obviously, singing does help with my anxiety, but my anxiety doesn't evaporate completely, and it feels magnified between not singing, if I'm honest. I love singing and I sing a lot, but in between my singing, my anxiety's still there. So I'm trying to sort of make myself busy with my singing, between singing as well. So sort of exploring different sorts of music, different styles, thinking about how I can apply it in the future. Can I do this as a job? I'm starting to believe in myself a little bit more like that. I've struggled a bit with being able to work, so this is helping me forward with that as well. And my end goal ultimately, I think now, is actually I want to work as a singer now. At first it was a hobby, but yeah, if I have any goals at the moment, it is really to work as a singer. I don't know in what format, so I can't answer that question, but just being able to, all the hard work that I'm putting into this, to be able to have some productivity afterwards would be good. So
Amazing. And let's set this intention for you and let's send it to the universe.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Byron, for meeting with me today, and
That's
thank you
okay.
for sharing all your knowledge and experiences with our subscribers. So once again, thank you very much. And
No problem.
I'm pretty sure it's not the last time that we're going to have you on our YouTube channel, because there is so much more we can talk about, and we should talk about, and we should share this knowledge. So
yeah, I could talk, as you know, I can talk forever about singing, so anytime.
Great. Fantastic. Once again, thank you very much for
Yeah,
being
you
with
too.
me today.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.